In this video, we're reviewing sinners and staving off the bloodsuckers with a garlic-infused cocktail called the Vampire Hunter. Today, on the Martini Shot. Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot, the home of movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails. Before we get into the review, let's whip ourselves up a drink. So like I said, this cocktail is going to be helping us stave off some vampires. And while I haven't yet found a way to introduce wooden stakes into a cocktail, we're going with the next best weapon, a little bit of garlic. Now, this may sound like a fairly weird ingredient in a cocktail, and I'll be honest with you, it kind of does when you're looking at it from afar. But I think the flavor combinations I'm going to be pairing it with, mainly the whiskey, vermouth, and mezcal, are going to make for a very nice combination. It's going to be very reminiscent of a Manhattan, but with a little bit more smokiness and a little bit more savoriness. Let's get into it. All right, go ahead and grab a mixing glass. First thing we're going to be doing is integrating our garlic. So for this cocktail, I went ahead and made a garlic simple syrup. You would make this the same way you make normal simple syrup, with 1 part sugar to 1 part water, but then you are also going to be throwing 4 whole garlic cloves into the mix. And once that's done, you can go ahead and add ½ an ounce of the garlic simple syrup. And now we can start adding our alcoholic ingredients. First, starting with our sweet vermouth, you're gonna be adding 1 ounce. And then you're gonna want 2 ounces of bourbon. And I am using a local bourbon today from ASW here in Atlanta. Always try to buy local when you can. And then we're going to be adding just a little bit of mezcal, I would say about a bar spoon. You may be used to seeing mezcal as the primary spirit in a cocktail, but because of how strong and how potent that smokiness is, you can honestly just use it as a flavoring agent rather than the main spirit. And then finally, go ahead and throw in 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Now you can go ahead and throw some ice in your mixing glass and stir until chilled. And then you can go ahead and strain your cocktail into any glass you'd like. I'll be using a stemless martini glass. And now to really drive home the garlic in this cocktail, we are going to be garnishing it with a garlic clove. But for this cocktail, I'm actually gonna be using 2 because I kind of noticed cloves look a little bit like vampire fangs. And there you go, now you have the Vampire Hunter. The garlic in this is one of the most surprising additions to a cocktail I've probably ever come across. It's incredible how well the pungent flavors of the garlic pair so well alongside the whiskey, the vermouth, and a little bit of that mezcal. While not completely accurate, it kind of reminds me of eating like a steak with a little bit of au jus. It's super savory, has a tinge of saltiness, just a little bit of sweetness thanks to the fact that it is a simple syrup that we're using in here. And yeah, the garlic does not feel out of place in here in the slightest. It may feel kind of suspicious because you are going to be smelling a lot of it when you're drinking this cocktail, especially if you decide to garnish it with the garlic cloves. But when you look at the flavor profiles of a lot of the other ingredients we have in this cocktail, the pairing just kind of makes sense. All I'm saying is don't knock it till you try it, which happens to be the same mantra the vampires use in this movie, so it kind of fits. Now that we have our drink, let's get right into the review. I'm gonna cut to the chase and not beat around the bush here. We've got an all-timer on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. I was admittedly getting a little worried that all we would ever see from Ryan Coogler from now on would be films attached to existing IPs. Not that those are bad movies, but the guy does deserve to let loose on something original and free of the confines of sequels and expanded universes to really let his talents soar. Thank the gods, Sinners is just that, and recency bias be damned, it's probably my favorite film of 2025. This is such a harmonious blend of period-driven social commentary and sweaty, oiled-up horror action that flows between the two seamlessly and effectively. It gets down and dirty not only with its blood-soaked vampire shenanigans, but with the ideas of cultural identity, or the loss thereof when it comes to assimilation. Every actor is firing on all cylinders here, from faces we've come to know and love, to stars deserving of their newfound attention, to brand new faces born to be stars. And the music. Not only is this another stellar composition from Ludwig Göransson, but it's so intertwined into the film's themes and soul, leading to some musical moments that made me feel as if I was levitating. Coogler has outdone himself, creating a genre film that delves deeper into the possibilities of what it can offer while still delivering on a damn fun time. Set in 1932 Mississippi, 2 twin brothers return from years of gangstering in Chicago to open up their own juke joint for their community. All seems to go well until the spot is visited by a group of vampires who are looking to add a young musician to their ranks due to his almost supernatural abilities with a guitar. What follows is a night of horror as friends and family begin to be picked off one by one, creating an undead army that looks to destroy all the brothers have built before sunrise. This is an absolute stacked cast, ranging from big names to character actors, and everyone knocks it out of the park. Michael B. Jordan pulls double duty as twins Smoke and Stack, two entrepreneurial gangsters looking to bring back the wealth they've amassed back home to celebrate with the community. The distinction between the two becomes obvious from the get-go. Smoke is the no-nonsense, analytical mind of the duo, while Stack is the charismatic salesman, looking to entertain any and all that come his way. Jordan does an excellent job finding ways to give the brothers their own distinct identifiers in a way that isn't super in-your-face and obvious. Simple gestures, postures, and habits like rolling a cigarette make it easy to know who we're following, while the integration of two Jordans on screen feels seamless. Both are driven by the power of the dollar, though their reasons for it vary. Stack sees it as a way to give back to his people, while Smoke recognizes its power, something that he believes dwarfs the perceived power of the otherworldly. But when you're up against vampires, it's like bringing a stack of cash to a gunfight. We are also introduced to Miles Canton, an acting newcomer that plays young blues prodigy Sammy Preacher Boy Moore. The kid has been in the music world for a hot minute, and there's no shortage of that talent on display here. His voice is so alluring, capturing that magnetic pull that blues has on you, the kind that just sends shivers down your spine and shoots a wave of emotion right through you. Sammy is entranced by the world of music and all the dressings that come with it, like the notoriety and the doting gazes of pretty girls. Yet he's not seemingly fame hungry, feeling a deeper connection to the music that makes it seem as if this isn't something he wants to do, but something he needs to do. It's this connection that takes up the heart of the film's story, especially once the vampires roll into town. They can offer him the eternal life needed to entrance the world forever, but Sammy, deep down, knows this isn't what blues is. It doesn't come from getting everything you ever wanted, but appreciating the things you have. And the supporting roles are just too good to simply pass by, so I'm gonna try to give them their flowers. Haley Steinfeld's Mary represents a pretty interesting dilemma, seeing as how she is half white and half black. This gives her an out of many of the problems her darker constituents possess, though it does seem to be unwanted in her defense. Wunmi Masako plays Annie, Smoke's ex-wife who delves into the spiritual side of the culture, making her this film's vampire expert. Jack O'Connell leads the vampires as Remick, an Irish immigrant who genuinely shares some of the same experiences as Mississippi's black population, though it becomes obvious that his offer of brotherhood comes from a place void of ownership of your own background. And finally, perhaps the most standout side character in my eyes is Delroy Lindo's Delta Slim. This man has been around forever, and damn, he knocks it out of the park as the corn whiskey drinking blues veteran. He is absolutely hilarious in his motions and delivery, but there's still a heart to him, one that's deeply connected to the soul-crushing reality that birthed blues to begin with. Seriously, across the board, up and down, there is not one disappointing performance here. So the first half of the film is wildly different from its latter half, to the point where you kind of forget this is supposed to be a horror movie. And that's not a disservice to the movie, as truthfully, I found the first half to be the most engaging part. This provides ample time for you to get to know the characters, where their wants and desires become loudly apparent within the first minute of meeting them. You also get a good sense of the period as well, feeling the effects of the Jim Crow South in a way that allows the environment to tell the story, rather than having cliches carry you there. All of this is so important because it actually gives you reasons for caring about any of these characters once the blood starts flowing. This is a horror film that is patient with building towards the more exciting stuff, but not a minute feels wasted. It all moves so fast, and every scene that adds a new character or delves deeper into their motivations and psyche feels wholly intentional, actually servicing the plot rather than simply trying to drum up sympathy for when some of them eventually meet their end. But don't worry, this film remembers it's a horror film in due time, kicking off with a tense build towards a dark inevitability. These are classic vampire rules at play here: garlic, wooden stakes, sunlight, and most importantly, they have to be invited in. This last element is used in such a fun, worrisome way that toys with our characters' emotions in cruel and admittedly sometimes even humorous ways. Eventually, there is a big blowout that delivers on some solid horror action with plenty of biting, stabbing, and phenomenal special effects and prosthetic work. And like any good vampire movie, it is horny as shit. After Nosferatu, we may very well be in a vampire renaissance. and I'm here for it. Like I stated before, the music of Sinners is as integral to the film's identity as it is to simply soundtracking the film. Longtime Coogler collaborator Ludwig Göransson captures a fascinating encapsulation of the early 1900s blues sound. Yet there's a purposefully timeless quality to it at the same time, as it should be, considering how much of an emphasis the film puts on music being ethereally linked to cultural identity, from the African American bodies to even the Irish vampires. This is illustrated multiple times throughout the film, but the most prominent example comes from a metaphorical barn-burning performance from Sammy. I don't want to spoil it for you because you should see it for yourself, but it essentially transcends time and subgenres to show how similar ideas in music persist from the beginning of time to modern day. Genuinely one of the most impressive musical sequences I've seen in a minute. Let me tell you, I was floating during this scene, and I want to go back and see this movie again, if not just to have that feeling one more time. It's bold and may not seem like it would work on paper, but damn is it one of a kind. But if you haven't guessed yet, this isn't simply just a pulpy vampire flick. It can definitely be enjoyed as one, but I think it's worth a deeper dissection to really understand what makes this film so impactful. The film takes place during the Jim Crow era of America, a time where Black Americans were technically free, but a lot stood in their way to make them truly free. A big part of Jim Crow was the idea of assimilation, essentially the erasure of cultural identities viewed as beneath the status quo in order to form one homogeneous society that would make empty promises. Sure, you can still enjoy your music and your food, but it will be on our terms. This is essentially what the growing vampire cult represents. It promises eternal salvation and community, but at the cost of truly owning your past and culture. Remick even says at one point that the memories, experiences, and sorrows of everyone he's turned are now shared with him. While this may sound like a nice sentiment, it undermines the individuality of each of them. It's super interesting to have the lead vampire in this be Irish, as they have also experienced plenty of their own racism over the decades. But I think it's not controversial to say that a lot of their culture has become either Americanized or lost entirely, which may have to do with the fact that, unlike their black brothers, they can look just like the oppressors when everything that made them unique is stripped away. It's not really freedom, and a lot of our characters realize this. For this one night in this juke joint, they get to taste what real freedom is like, to drink, dance, and be merry, all without an overbearing eye to make sure it all fits the standards of the day. And sure, mistakes will be made, people will get hurt, and hearts may break, but to be truly free means you're given the chance to make and learn from those decisions yourself. From veterans to field workers, they're all told to avoid the fruits of temptation, only because if they do, someone won't be able to exploit them. Whether it be work, religion, or society as a whole, there is always something telling you no when all you're trying to do is live. These ideas culminate to a heartfelt ending and even perhaps one of the greatest post-credit scenes ever. That's right, do not leave before the main credits finish because you'll miss out on one of the most earned scenes of the year. Trust me, this is not a movie you wait to hit streaming or digital. Go see it in theaters with one of the biggest screens you have access to. My experience was definitely one of the best theater experiences of the year, where everyone was having a good time and enjoying a well-made horror film in a respectful but lively way. And that's the fucking power of the theater experience, not throwing shit at the screen because someone said chicken jockey. I think we've earned a good theater experience after all of that, and I hope you'll give a piece of original work the chance it deserves. For my rating, I'm giving this film 4.5 banjos out of 5, but who knows, time may just bump it up half a star by year's end. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw Sinners, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.